I'm Andrew Joseph Keith. Welcome to my channel. I'm sculpting my own chess set, and I'm getting towards the end of the design process. I'm going to start going into the mold making stage pretty soon, but I wanted to give you guys an explanation of the designs for these pieces. I'm going to talk a little bit about how the project started, and then hopefully I can get some of you guys' feedback on how to just make this the best chess set possible. So let me begin by talking about these pieces, and let's talk about the design for the most controversial piece in the chess set, which is the pawn. And with the pawn, I've chosen to do a design that's based on a child, a youth. And there's a couple of reasons for this. And the first one that came to mind is just the unlimited potential that children have, that they can become anything. In chess, the pawn can become anything, any other piece except for the king. Making an infantryman or something like that, it just, to me, it didn't speak to that potential that is the pawn piece. And another thing that I was thinking about is that the youth are often those that bear the cost of that war. And so usually it's not children, and hopefully it's never children that are bearing the cost of their lives for the war. But it usually is the youth, especially young men, that pay the cost of war. The potential that those young men have for the future, they're sacrificing that potential for the war. And so that just makes it a bigger sacrifice, and it just means that war is just an exceptionally ugly thing when it's unnecessary, because you are sacrificing the next generation, and it's often an older generation that is sending out this younger generation into war. And so that was a commentary that I wanted to make. They have unlimited potential, but then also that younger generation are the ones that bear the cost of war. Now, just as a reminder, you don't kill pieces in chess, so you just capture in chess. No children will be harmed in this chess game. So that is something I understand why people find it a little bit jarring. It's like, oh, these children are in front, but there is a justification for it, and most of the people that have heard that justification are like, oh, okay, that makes sense. It's a family, the king, queen, and the pawn. Next, let's talk about the queen, actually, because the whole project started with the queen piece. I was just kind of messing around one day, fiddling around with some clay, and I thought, oh, well, it'd be fun to try to design maybe a queen piece for chest, but doing it for chess, not chest. Though somebody said that this could be a chest set because of all of the chests. But the queen, I was just thinking, oh, this could be just a fun little side project. I did a rough design, and for me, what I was thinking about with this piece, and then what I tried to incorporate into all the pieces, was keeping the piece symmetrical from side to side. So symmetrical side to side. Obviously it's going to be asymmetrical for the silhouette from the side view. You're not going to have symmetrical. The front silhouette, I wanted to be a symmetrical silhouette because of how chess pieces are. They have these nice flowing curves to them, and I wanted to play on that, but do it in my own style. I wanted a very striking silhouette with a lot of curves in and out, and so you can see just how dramatic that is with a very thin waist and then wide hips and curves that connect all those pieces with the hair that comes out. And so I'm trying to keep in mind, how can I put in these curving lines that come together in an interesting way as I'm designing this chess set. With the queen, I imagined a tight dress to where you can see the forms of the body, but it's not as if I was sculpting a nude. And then I tried to incorporate that as well into the other figures. Next, we can talk about the king. You can see that he's got the cross on top, and that was based off of the chess piece that I have. I just thought the beard was a cool way to kind of incorporate the shape of that chess piece, how there's the crown and then it comes out. I liked the idea of taking the beard and having that be like an element, an abstract element that I was able to kind of pull from just a generic king chess piece. And then I was kind of playing with the line work, and I wanted there to be clear plane changes, and you can see that in the king's face, how there's kind of these chiseled lines and distinct plane changes. I really like playing with that. There's less so with the pawn, and with the queen it's a little bit less, though I might go and add those into the face of the queen. We'll see. Those chiseled features I just think is an interesting element that I also think looks good. But then with the body, I've tried to go for that kind of smoothed out features, as if he's wearing a tight fitted shirt. Maybe it's like chainmail or something like that, but that it's tight. Those are the king, queen, and pawn pieces. The next piece that I designed was the rook. the piece that looks generally like a castle, I didn't want to do an actual castle, which is what most chess sets have. It's just a castle piece. I wanted the rook to be something a little bit more unique, and from what I've heard, this is the piece that generally people like the most. People seem to really like this design, and I like it too. And so the rook, I just took the castle shape and tried to incorporate that into a helmet of like a knight. And I was kind of thinking of like a mercenary type build, just kind of a guy that goes and gets things done, a threatening, strong figure. For the physique, I was thinking with the rook, I wanted it to be like a strongman type build, where it's not like a bodybuilder, not ripped or anything like that, but just thick and strong. And so that's kind of what I was going for when I was thinking about the body itself. He's got a little bit of a gut to him. You can still tell that he's just a strong, powerful piece. That's kind of what I was going for with the design for the rook. With the knight, here you can see the knight, and it's not as easy to read the knight from the front as from the side view. Originally, I did sculpt a horse. It ended up looking like the horse on any other chess set, and people mentioned the horse doesn't really feel like it goes with the rest of the chess set, and I agreed. And so I re-sculpted it. I started over. I tried putting a horse head on a knight, and anything that I did that was like a horse face helmet, it just looked silly, just looked ridiculous. So I decided that I would just try a regular knight. Then I saw some of these knights that actually had kind of mohawk type design in the knight helmet, and I thought that was cool, and I added that. And then there were several suggestions from people to put the horse tail on the back to give it that element of a horse, so the ponytail on the back. And there are helmets that have this. They have the horsehair, they put horsehair on the back, and then a horse tail coming out of the back. And so I thought that that was a really clever way to make this still feel like the horse. And you can see from that side silhouette, it's still got a lot of the curves that you would see in the knight piece in an actual chess set that kind of hint at that horse, but it's still able to be a figurative piece, which is what I'm interested in. I like sculpting people, so I wanted it to be figurative, but with that mohawk and then that ponytail, it still has the iconography of a more horse-like character. So that was fun figuring it out. My wife doesn't like this piece that much. I showed it to her and she's like, I don't like it that much. Some people like it, some people don't, but I thought it was a clever way to figure it out. The original horse that I sculpted this piece out of that horse, so there's no going back. Last of all, we have the bishop. The bishop, you can see, has the hat that gives him away as the bishop piece. For this one, I was thinking of like an older, like wizard type character. For this entire chess set, I wasn't worried too much about getting things that were historically accurate or bits of clothing that match the time period and everybody kind of matches. I just wanted something that looks cool and that feels like a cool chess set, that feels well done and interesting and aesthetically pleasing. And so with this, you know, this hat might be the type of hat that would maybe be more in an Arab type location rather than, you know, the more Christian type iconography of the cross on the king. It's more the iconography of the actual bishop chess piece, and added in some of those plane changes into the beard, the eyes, and the nose in a way that hopefully makes that interesting as well. This is where I'm at with the pieces. These three pieces, the rook, the knight, and the bishop, are pretty much finished and ready for mold making. And so I still need to finish up the texture of the queen, the king, and the pawn. That's where I'm at today. I'll try to get as far as I can today with those, and then I'll move on to the mold making process and do them all at the same time. For that, I'm going to cast the entire thing, so even the wood base. And that way I have the option if I wanted to cast the entire thing with the base, or if I just wanted to cast the clay part just up to here, I have the option of doing either. This is a large chess set, and so it'll need a large chessboard. And for the casting, I was considering, and this is where I'd like some input from you guys, I was considering doing a clear epoxy resin with some black sand or some small black pebbles added into the resin for the black pieces, and then some white sand or white pebbles added into the clear epoxy resin for the white pieces. And I thought that that would be an interesting thing. I still need to experiment, do some experiments with that, but that's kind of where I'm thinking that it'll go towards. If you guys have suggestions on like ways to cast this in resin that'll make it interesting. I also like the idea of sand because it would add some weight to it, and I feel like these pieces should have some, weight and some substance to them. I know you can also do like a cold bronze casting, which is when you add metal pigments into the clay and then you put on top of that finishes that feel similar to actual bronze. You can get that like greenish bronze look, and so I might experiment with some of those things as well. This whole thing is just kind of an experiment to have fun. If you think that you might be interested in getting this chess set once it's available, you can send me a message on my Instagram page. That's AndrewJosephKeith15, and just send me the word chess and your email, and I'll add you to my email list just for this chess set. I'm also still looking for a well-made chess board. It has to be a pretty large board to fit all of these pieces. So I'm trying to work that out still. If anybody has advice on manufacturers that might be interested in making custom chessboards, or manufacturers that might be able to help out with the molding and casting process, I'd be very interested to know about that. So I am documenting the process. I've been trying to do a lot of live streams with the actual working process. So if you're interested in seeing those live streams, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. I'm also going to be documenting the mold making process, and I'm going to try to put up some content related to that. If you guys are interested in learning to sculpt either portrait sculpture or figure sculpture, there are links in the description below on where I teach you guys my method for sculpting, everything that I wish I knew when I started sculpting people. Sculpting is really fun. It's awesome to be able to sculpt something, especially when it's something that you couldn't have done before, but then you've learned techniques and you've gained the ability to do something unique. If you guys are interested in sculpting and you like chess, sculpt your own chess set. I'd love to see what you guys could come up with. Let me know over on Instagram if you guys do sculpt your own chess set. All right, I think that about wraps it up for this video. As always, stay creative, stay productive. I'll see you in the next one.